Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I will be doing a thorough review of the DITTO X2 pedal from TC Electronics and comparing it with some of the competition like this Boss RC1. First impressions when you get hold of one of these is that it's absolutely gorgeous. Really solid, thick metal enclosure here. Actually rivals or perhaps even feels even more superior than these Boss pedals that are already Boss pedals that are already built like a tank. This feels even nicer and heavier. One of the most important features is that this is a dual button, a 2-button looper pedal. So you do get a dedicated switch here to stop your loop, whereas on the single button loopers like this one, you have to do a double press, which can be a little bit tricky to get in time with the loop. You get this lovely big smooth knob here that adjusts the level of the recorded loop, so you can balance it together with whatever you're playing live on top. This one has great feeling switches that are much smoother, quicker and more accurate to activate than this big plate here that presses down on a little micro switch inside. I have read some reports on the internet that these buttons can be prone to failure. They're actually just a little mechanism that presses down on a micro switch on the circuit board, apparently, but I haven't opened it up to confirm or deny that. But this I bought used and I don't know how old it is, but still working fine for me. I certainly do much prefer the feel of activating these with my hand than this one, which takes quite a firm press to activate it. So this is quite nice when used on your desktop. Of course, all of these, with the exception of this one, are intended to be put on the floor actually and stomped on with your feet, in which case this one is better than this. Well, maybe not. If you've got shoes on, I guess it doesn't matter, but with barefoot, this kind of switch pedal is a lot more comfortable than these. I specifically bought this one because it is stereo. You have left-right inputs and left-right outputs. And you need that if you're recording software instruments from your audio interface or hardware synthesizers like these. It runs on a single 9-volt battery that you insert in the back, or you can connect a standard 9-volt power supply. You might be able to see on the back that it has a micro USB or a mini USB connector. Not sure what that is, but it's not the latest USB-C anyway. And you use that to connect this to your computer and then transfer the files over to your computer if you want to back up your loops or work on them in your DAW, or even more importantly, and nicer, to transfer loops from your PC, maybe drum loops or backing tracks over to here, so you can jam along with them. Unlike the Boss, there is no input to connect additional foot switches, although since this one already has 2 switches, perhaps not really necessary either. There is a tiny little toggle switch here, which will adjust what this second switch does. You can set it to activate an effect or to stop the loop. And over here on the left, we have a further switch, which we can use to store our performance as a backing track. Nice. Like all of these pedals, this is an audio looper. It does not record MIDI in any way. You just connect the input of this to the output of your synthesizer, guitar, mixer desk, or whatever. There are some important differences between recording and looping MIDI versus audio, and I'll make a separate video about that because I think it's an interesting topic. The recording quality of this is exceptional at 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, which is better than CD quality. But more important actually is the quality of the analog to digital converters. If they are producing a lot of noise, hum and hiss, basically that 24 bits will just get you a very good quality recording of all of that nasty noise. We'll put that to the test later. This pedal has a couple of effects that I find personally to be quite useless and uninteresting. You've got a reverse feature that might have been cool in 2015 or something, whenever this pedal was released, but I find no useful purpose for it. You can also flick it into the middle and then you get a half speed effect. Again, completely useless, although it does sound kind of interesting and fun the first time, but not something you'd probably want to use often. I wonder if for the guitarist there might be a reason to use that if you want to slow down your recording to get the sound of a bass guitar perhaps from your acoustic guitar. I don't know. But for me, kind of useless, but they're here if you want them. This is running on batteries at the moment. To power it on, all you need to do is connect a cable to the input. It does offer stereo inputs and outputs, but you can of course connect a single mono instrument as well, or perhaps two different mono instruments. Okay, so the way this and basically most other loopers work is that you press the left switch here. Once to start recording, the LED goes red. Once you've finished recording your first loop, press it again and the pedal will then go into playback mode. Don't worry, I'll give you a demo in just a second. Then if you want to record something over the top of your loop, press it again. It's gone red once more and now you're in overdub mode. Press it once more when you're finished and it goes back into playback, and then you can enter overdub and then back to playback as many times as you want. This thing has, I think, 5 minutes total recording time, but you're never going to record a loop longer than 5 minutes, I don't think. Most loops tend to be more like 5 seconds. A nice feature we can do is, actually it's flashing as well, just to indicate the start position of the loop, but nothing like the information you get from the LED ring here on the Boss pedal. I never find myself looking at these indicators anyway. I'm looking at the instrument that I'm performing on and you kind of just know which mode you're in. A nice feature here, we can long press and it will remove your last overdub. And if you long press it again, it will put the overdub back again, which is a nice feature to perhaps remove a busy part and then put it back again to make a more interesting performance. And then of course this is a 2-switch looper, so just press the right pedal to stop it. If you want to clear the loop, just do a long press on this pedal, on this switch. Otherwise, you can, if you want, store your newly recorded loop as a backing track, which means it won't ever get erased until you specifically choose to do so using this little toggle switch. Yeah, nice. This only stores one loop at a time, just like the RC1 actually, but the advantage here is that we have USB, so I can connect it to the computer and transfer the file over there to back it up or work on it in my DAW, or even to drag backing tracks over and reinstall them here on the looper. Okay, here's a little video manual of all of those features in action. One of the pros of this pedal is that you can open up the battery compartment and access some dip switches to change the functionality of the unit. For example, some musicians like to go direct from record mode into overdub instead of playback, and you can configure that with the dip switches underneath. Check the manual for the details on everything that's possible there. The sound quality is exceptional. This thing offers true bypass, which means it doesn't affect the tone of any instruments, in my case synthesizers that are connected to it. And I can verify that. They sound exactly the same with or without the loop pedal in the chain, and the sound quality of the loops is absolutely pristine as well. The analog digital converters, fantastic. I hear no hiss, hum or undesirable noise whatsoever. Superb build quality, absolutely love the fit and finish of this thing. The double switches certainly make it easier to use. Not a huge difference actually, but some players do find it quite hard to do the double press to get the loop to stop. You don't need to do it here, got your dedicated button. And I do like that all of the inputs are around the back. It makes it a lot neater than this type of guitar pedal that has the jack cables coming in from the sides. It just takes a lot more space on the desk or on your pedal board, I think, when you have them coming in on the side versus coming in on the top, especially so when you have stereo ins and outs. For the drawbacks then, well, the effects are there, but they're of questionable usefulness. I have to mention it, there is some controversy on the internet about the reliability of these, in particular the durability of the switches and even the stability of the firmware. Lots of people have reported having these freeze up or crash or hang during a performance, which is not ideal, but in my experience I've had no issues yet. In some of those forum threads they suggest updating the firmware via USB, but I have not been able to find those firmware downloads anywhere on the TC Electronics website. One thing that all of these looper pedals lack is a headphone output, which I find to be quite a drawback actually. This one does have it. This is designed to be a desktop looper pedal for use with microphones, keyboards and so on. It has a headphone output on the front. But for these, you can't monitor what you're doing with headphones without first connecting this to some other device, like a mixer, for example, or what I tend to do, connect it to my USB audio interface to listen to it. But it's quite a lot of cabling, extra cabling. Would be lovely, I think, if some of these more advanced loopers provided a headphone output, but they never do. I checked online and the current price for this is $180, so you're paying $80 more than the RC1. What do you get for that extra money? Well, you get the extra switch, but remember you can expand this one with an external foot switch to get an extra button anyway, for a lot less than 80 bucks. But this one gives you 24-bit sound quality, better than this, but I don't really notice any difference in use. And you get the effects here that are kind of useless anyway, in my opinion. So it's not such an instant recommendation or such good value for money as this, coming in at 100 bucks. This is kind of almost twice the price. Anyway, a really nice unit. I have no reservations in recommending this based on my experience so far. Perhaps you could do what I did and buy one of these second-hand for about 80 bucks. It costs me a lot of money to make these videos, buying all this gear, getting it into review and doing the research and producing the videos. All I ask in return is that you subscribe to the channel, please, if you haven't already done so. And thank you so much if you have. Join me again in future videos then when I'll do comprehensive reviews on all of these loopers. Not looking forward to it because these are so deep and powerful. And also check out the review I already have of the RC202, which was a bit of a disappointment actually. And of course, we'll be doing the usual synthesizer stuff as well. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.